Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome back to another Geometry Dash level request video. It's been a little while since I've recorded one of these. I know, I've been on a massive YouTube break, taking weeks after weeks off, but I feel energized now. I'm back in the swing of things. I've changed microphone settings, I may seem a bit different, but this is how we're coming. Thank you for the support. Even while I was gone, we were still growing like crazy. It really blows my mind. I know I need to make another building subscriber style video. It's been a long time. I want to give back since we're almost at 35,000 already. You know, hit the button. We're almost there. Thank you. If you want a chance to have your level get played on the series, make sure you join the Discord server. You'll find the Google form in there, or you can type !form in my Twitch chat and receive it that way. The first level we're playing is Low Light by Aureus Bat using Cold Snap by Cubby, an incredible music artist, so I'm excited to see what this is. I saw a lot of comments about how loud I click my mouse, so I decided to take some steps and actually improve the microphone quality, try and reduce that sound a little bit, make my voice a bit better. This is interesting so far. Is that a pad? Yes, it's a pad, okay. It's interesting. I like the color scheme so far. This part is noticeably more static than the others, but I like the small details like the trail that's following me right now. There's a lot of scale-hacked glow in between parts, so it feels very haphazardly put together, but there are some pretty cool ideas in here. I just feel like it's slightly unpolished. There could be a couple of opacity tweaks here and there to make the glow a bit less harsh, and to kind of blend the black and white together that little bit more smoothly instead of it being so choppy like this. A couple of movements as well, you can very clearly tell when they start and stop. A tip that I have is to apply easings on a move trigger. I'll show you what I mean by that. Let me just quickly drop a like and a rating. I couldn't pay attention to every single movement in that level. I'm sure there was an easing used at some point, but if you're watching this and you don't know what an easing is, I'm going to quickly explain. Let me just give this object a new group, group 1. When I have a move trigger, let's just say we make it move 30 blocks to the right in a second, right? You can very clearly see when the movements start and stop. Whereas if I apply an easing, like ease in out, it changes the speed and it's like keyframed, so it moves slower on each end and then quicker in the middle. So it's a lot more smooth. You can also play with them and get like bounce out maybe, and that gives it a different dynamic at the ending. I just think it's important with a song that's as smooth and laid back as that you match the easings with the feel, and it's going to help you polish a lot more. Salsa by Gold Rudy using Salsa on the Beach Please by Max Robert. 2 levels in a row with a black and white aesthetic. Interesting. This one's using a little bit of color in the blocks, which is underneath a white mask around the block, so it kind of hides the edges of the diamonds so they don't like show up on the white. It's definitely got potential. Wow, that seemed a little bit impossible. Never mind, it's really easy. I like that you've established a difference between the effect that's over the blocks and then the plain black clouds and spikes. Like, they're completely different. You've got 2 different types of blocks right here. It's a good start. I just feel like there could be more detail to kind of bring them together a bit more, because they feel very isolated, especially when the background's just like chalk white like this, just complete block color. You could maybe have some sort of low opacity detail around the blocks, which it was starting to do earlier, but didn't quite get done. Also, that ending was really strange. The mask kind of just faded out and showed all of the blocks behind it. I'm just looking at this in the editor and it seems to be pretty poorly optimized. Like, you could very easily just select like a chunk of these objects like this maybe, and just have it locked to the X-axis on a move trigger. So you don't have to have all of these objects just around the level like this. Like, look how many there are. Oh my, it fills up the whole thing. Like 57,000 objects. It could definitely be condensed into like maybe 5,000. It's definitely a good idea for an effect or visual style. I just feel like more could have been worked into it, and I'm going to show you a little bit. When I mask things, I like to play with opacity. So I might select a couple of strips like this around the blocks on this mask layer, set it to a new color that's like 90% opaque, so it's just letting a tiny bit of the background through. You see right there, you get different strips, and it just looks a little bit nicer. It feels more integrated into the level rather than just like blank color to separate it, you know? I mean, you can go even fancier than this. You can just change the opacity with like an alpha trigger on a fade time, so it's leveling up and down as you get through the part. Maybe if it had a bit more of a climactic song than such a laid back, I don't know, it didn't really sync to the music very well. I don't know. Next up, we've got Dysphoria by Divert using Glaive Astrid Remix by DV. Okay, this is interesting. A modern style level with a grayscale background and colorful blocks. I like to see that. Come on, you couldn't have let me through there. The designs and the details here are very simple, but they work very well together because of how well the assets are chosen. So we've got like chain-looking things that are attaching the saws together on rotation, which looks really nice, and it fills in a lot of space in between those. Saws are generally quite difficult to decorate around, I find, especially in modern levels. Let me go into this transition properly. Yeah, this is sick. It feels very washed out because of how much white there is covering everything. I feel like the colors are toned very nicely to fit in with that. Nice. Okay. There was a lot of pulsing details in the beginning that I picked up on. That's so smooth how it transitions in and out of the... Hold on. What is going on? I can't actually explain what I'm thinking. So when it passes this glow point, everything inverts. And I think that's very smoothly done. This sweeping rotation right here is interesting too. It does fit in pretty well, I think. I think that's because you've got borders at the top and bottom that are rotating on the beats like that, you see? They're quite well built in, even though there's not much black in the design or anything. It's nice because you've got one tone of color for the background, one tone for the blocks, and then everything else is black. I think it's really interesting. Your colors are well chosen, and then this tint that makes it a lot more interesting and feel a bit more unique. I feel like it could be a lot more climactic though, maybe changing the object line color right there. I don't know, it went from very frequently changing its look with inverting colors to then just having like solid color parts for however long the duration is, like 7 seconds or something. I feel like there could be a couple more color changes to keep that momentum that it had earlier and to stick to the song's energy. I'm not very sure how well I explained what was on my mind there, but I'm going to try and show it in the editor, here especially. These lines are on color channel 9. Okay, so let me just set up a couple of pulses here. It seems like you've got pulses up here. There's definitely a color change I can see, so I shall add one for color channel 9 right there. Let me just test a white pulse, honestly. That's just what I was thinking when I was playing through this part, but there seems to be a lot linked to this color 9, so maybe the objects could have had their own color. I don't know, we'll see. The other thing I wanted to check out was this blending screen. You can see that there's a color trigger that's changing the opacity upwards on a blending color channel from 0.11 to a 0.34, so it's quite a significant change. There we go. I think that gives it a bit more of a punch on the beats instead of being so dull on the outlines the whole time. But if I just remove those for a second, I can show you the blending screen that I was talking about. So you're looking at this right now. I'll select the screen and delete it. You can see a pretty big difference. It's like tinting all of the gray and boosting it to a different color. And that works because blending objects don't show up on white space, so you can barely see this when it's in like the middle of the screen, but everything else has this other color to it. I've just ran a few tests by increasing the opacity that it changes to, and you can see that if you change it too high, then the whole level's just going to get overwhelmed, especially the blending details. It's just going to go to full white, so that's not what you want to do. I'm glad that Divert's managed to keep it subtle, and that's all I'm going to say because I've just rambled on about that for ages. I will be sending that for an 8-star feature. There we go. Next up, I've got Simple by Pineapple Butt using Solo by Mute Hero. I don't know what that is. I'm just going to skip past it, pretend I didn't see it. There's a really sweet gradient in the background that's meshing a lot of colors together, and it actually looks really nice. There's also a lot of detail I can see right now, a lot of depth packed into this. That looks sick. I love how the background slid on in all of its different parts. A nitpick I have is that, as you can see, when I fly underneath an arrow, where did the arrows just stopped appearing? Hold on, let me reset. The arrows show up in front of the icon, which is kind of breaking the immersion a little bit. But yeah, I like how some parts of the blocks have gradients in them, and then there's like solid color behind them. It's a 2-part block design, but there's like 2 different styles in it. I like it. I'm waffling. Okay, this is really nice. I love the concept of popping bubbles. The glow in the middle is really, it's tasteful. You know, it does the trick. It gives you a brighter spot in the middle. That's really cool. I love the idea that you have to kind of find your way through the bubble mazes. There's a lot of cool colors in this. I don't know, it just feels a little bit uncoordinated, like that bubble part just came out of nowhere. It was sick, but where does it slot into this? I don't really understand. It seemed to have a random theme. There was a lot of cool visuals that went with it. I think I might put this as a rate only. I know that it's supposed to be simple, but even still, the designs weren't the greatest. They tied in with the background, but not into the background, so I could still see exactly where I was going. They fit in with the whole vibe, but it just felt slightly off, and I can't quite pinpoint why. This part is heat. I really like that. but the following parts, I don't know, especially that transition, it just feels slightly unpolished. There's not much behind these blocks from what I can see that's really making them pop out from the background. They're just kind of flat. You know, it looks really 2D. First things first, let me just delete this from the level. So yeah, this part threw me off because it's really bold to use white and black contrast like that without having many other colors in between, you know? It's harsh. I'm just looking at it and there's no design underneath any of these blocks at all. It just feels a bit strange. Like these blocks are quite literally just floating and leaving all of this awkward space up here that's just not filled in. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I would add in right here. What I am noticing when I'm zooming out is how cool that glow looks on the top and bottom. Maybe there could be some more of that color inside the blocks to tie that in a bit more. It's cool. I'm gonna send it for a 5-star rating, not a feature. Sang Chun by K911 Una using Laughing Fox Song by Kestutisk. I cannot pronounce anything to save my life. God damn, but let's just get straight into this. Damn, what a great first impression. Starting off with a bang, a billion colors on the screen, eased in really well with some black and white contrast. I'm slow-moing from the beginning just to explain this properly. I love that the important black details like the spikes, the pulsing object, and the ground at the top and bottom are full opacity, whereas the lines and the shadows are slightly less opacity. So you get the really important details in your face straight away. This is really clean so far. Just the optimal amount of detail, focusing on the way the colors are presented rather than overcrowding it with useless details and stuff. I really like it so far. Yeah. Okay, the color palettes are insane. I like the block transitions that are happening right now. Very clear to me straight away. It's simple, but it's just really effective at what it does. All right. And that's a really artsy ending too. Whoa, that gameplay was quite precarious. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting to hit those orbs and live, but we're here. That was sick. I really enjoyed that. Simple, mellow, to the point, good looking, aesthetically pleasing with great colors. I'm going to send that for a 5-star feature. Well optimized as well. Only 8,000 objects to create all of this. I love this kind of flickering background with the different pulses and stuff. It just looks super cool. You can see there's really not much to this. It's really built up by how well the background complements the structures and the different pulses that are scattered around everywhere. You can see the touch triggered pulses right here that are changing the block colors as you pass them. You can see right here that the blending screen is done with a gradient. So the right side is much stronger than how it is in the middle. You can see that on this freeze frame especially, how much brighter it is on the right side, which is really fresh, honestly. I like it. It really is just a couple of blocks and arrows and stuff. That's sick. They're using exclamation marks for the back end of the arrow, as you can see. That's really clever. I really don't know what I would add to that level to make it better because it's just minimalistic and it's perfect how it is. But that was a cool request video. I've had my eyes opened for sure. I tried to use the editor a lot more than normal because I know people like it when I go into that, kind of give my 2 cents on what I would do in that situation. But yeah, thank you for watching this Geometry Dash level request video. The next one should be a subscriber style episode because I haven't done one of those for a while. I'll play a few more requests in that video, so stay tuned. Check the links in the description, leave a like and subscribe, and have a good day.